Hi, my name is Becky Boone, and I am a senior programmer analyst at Resource Data. And I've lived in Anchorage about 3.5 years. And part of why I joined IndieInfoTech was because of that social awkwardness that Shane was talking about earlier. And when I get in front of people, I just basically want to just fumble my way away from everybody. So I have my sort of my security blanket here. I don't really need these, but I just like to hold them. And so it makes me more comfortable. So just excuse a little bit of my stumbling. And so I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about open data. Specifically, I wanted to play around with R. And I don't know. I just like data. And I think R can be a useful tool, and I agree with whoever said earlier that it can be also frustrating. It has its good and bad points. However, after talking to a coworker of mine about this talk that I'm giving tonight, he was asking me a little bit. He didn't show up tonight, so obviously I didn't sell him on it. But he was asking me what I was doing, what I planned to do, and I was saying I was going to play around with R. And he was asking me about the data, the local data that I was going to look at. And I realized that actually I'd kind of formed two different talks in my head, and instead of trying to mush it all together and bore you for 30 minutes on kind of a disjointed talk, I went ahead and decided to, I need to do that. Break your computer. Just to kind of scratch the R part out of it and go with the high level talk. And because I want to sort of introduce myself to you guys, because the other goal besides getting rid of the social awkwardness is to find a little bit of a community. I'm personally interested in playing around with civic data, so I'm really interested in Anchorage data, and I would love to find other people who are also interested in playing around with the data, because ultimately, me alone trying to get data from the Muni is going to be kind of a harder effort unless I have more people who are interested in getting data from the Muni and who can also harass them, and so we'll have a little more power that way. So, with that being said, and also what got me, I've always been interested in civic data, but recently I did a project, and Shannon was this is Shannon over here, was on our team, and it was called Adopt a Hydrant, and it was Anchorage Adopt a Hydrant. And so what we did was, it was actually part of a campaign with Code for America. And if you're familiar with Code for America, they're basically this organization, this national organization that is like a Peace Corps for technologists. And what they do is they come into cities and they try to find ways to make government more accessible for the citizens. And so we participated in this. So the race for reuse was really a straightforward concept. It was open source that they've already written. These were all applications that Code for America had already invested time in, and they wanted us to repurpose them and use them in our city. And the Adopt a Hydrant application is interesting because it doesn't have to be a hydrant that you're adopting. It could be, plants around the city. It could be a bus stop. It could be whatever you think needed some attention from people in town. We went with Adopt a Hydrant because we thought we could get the data pretty successfully, and also after last winter we thought for sure there'd be a need for it this winter, which is not quite the case, but so that's what we went with. And we actually ended up being one of the grand prize winners in the competition, and so we've got funded, yay! And so we got funded to basically all our hosting costs for the year, and also to throw a block party, which, I'll make sure I let you guys all know when that is. And if you adopted a hydrant, you're allowed to come. So otherwise, I'm just kidding. I'll let you guys know, because the more the merrier. I'm not sure how many hydrant adoptees are going to want to go to a block party. We'll see. Depends on how amazing we make it. So, yeah, that's right. That's so true. Some of them are privately owned. Yeah. And for some reason, once again, okay. It's not a Mac. That's the problem. I'm pushing the button. Oh, that's what's going on. Okay. Okay. Escape. I can't play with these PCs.
Let's get all the social awkwardness out of the way
I know. See, this is why I decided not to play with R in front of a live audience. I was like, I have to shake this out of my system first. So I'm just going to go with sort of the top level. You guys probably already know the answer to this, but just in case you don't, what is open data? And open data is a lot like open source, same types of concepts. It's free to distribute, free to redistribute. It's basically access to data without any kinds of restrictions. So nothing like patents, copyrights, or any type of control, essentially. And the reason why a lot of times when you're talking about open data, you're talking about civic data is because that data is already by law public. So that's why like a big part of the space is civic data. Partly, there may be some of you that are already interested in civic data, but part of my goal always is to sell some of you on it if you're not already interested. Spacebar. Okay, so why should you care about civic data? And I know like a lot of you are like, I could care less about, the community here in Anchorage, or I don't vote or whatever, but I still think you should care about civic data. Despite whatever your idea of the government is, I think you should still be interested. And so one of the reasons, and I'll just get this reason out of the way first, is altruism. Even if you don't believe in true altruism, people get something, some people get something back from volunteering, giving to their community. And you can help really aid your community in being more transparent. So for example, if you go to the App Store right now, whether it's Android, iPhone, whatever, I can't vouch for Windows, but you'll find an application for the Alaska State Legislature. And you can find out when they're in session, what they're voting on, you can find all that information. And that adds transparency to our government and what our taxes, what the Alaska's government, is doing. And, okay, so another thing is helping people participate in the local community. And I think that's important to have a strong community, is to try and get participation from people. And for example, the Adopt a Hydrant, it was pretty amazing what a low bar it set for people to engage in civic activity. I mean, it's pretty low that all you have to do is walk out in your yard and you can do something to give back to the community. And as a matter of fact, I was just talking to Shannon and Carter before I walked up here, and they were saying that they'd adopted some in their neighborhood, and it wasn't in their yard, but they went out and did it. It was in someone else's yard, and that they were like just blown away. Their neighbors were blown away. They're like, why are you doing this? And they just thought they were the nicest people. What did they call you? Like Good Samaritans. So already it's like fostering this positive neighborhood personality, which I think is
one of the criteria is you can't adopt the hydrant in front of you. You have to adopt
so awkward, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because a lot of people don't even talk to their neighbors anymore. So, and then another one is empowerment. And so other cities have done things like help streamline people getting new business license. A lot of time, if you've never started your own business, there you might not be familiar with the steps, and it can be intimidating to have to deal with all the paperwork and everything. And so by streamlining that process, you empower your citizens to start their own businesses and things of that nature. Another good reason why you should care about civic data is the potential for profit. You can improve existing products. So an example is ClickFix, which they'll be here at the end of the month to talk about their application. But it's basically already there's ways to report issues, potholes, stuff like that. But what they've done is they've streamlined it. So it makes it very easy for the user. That was a great noise. Very easy for the user to take a picture of the pothole and get it entered into the system. And the way they make their money is selling sort of the back-end ticketing system to the government, whatever that is. And so another one, creating new products, Socrata, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but what they do is they help governments, whether they're local or state, put all their data online and make it accessible. And so that's actually something that's a new product because this wasn't really needed or done before. So they saw that space and they filled it. Another way to make a profit with civic data is helping people make decisions. A lot of times when people go to restaurants, when they buy things, what they want to do is do a little research first. And so that's worth something to people. And if you could help them find the parking space that they don't have to drive around an hour for downtown, or that's an exaggeration, but if you could kind of cut some time out of their day doing those kinds of things, then they'll be willing to pay for it. And then the last reason why you should be interested in civic data is opportunity. If you go right now on your phone to the App Store, whatever App Store it is, and just Google Alaska or Anchorage, you're going to come up with a small amount of apps. There's huge, there's not a lot of competition right now in the Anchorage app market, For example, let's say if we were in Portland and we wanted to use their public transportation system, and we just put TriMet in, forget Portland, you're going to come up with 24 different applications that use their civic data to help you find your way around town, and transition from one place to another. And some of those are paid, some of those are free. I almost think it must be a rite of passage in Portland to write a TriMet app. But anyway, you do not see that for Anchorage or Alaska. There's plenty of opportunity there. Also, there's definitely room for innovation. A lot of this data, if anybody's worked for big companies, especially around here, oil companies, and you know how they move so slow with all the bureaucracy and everything, a lot of this data has been kind of trapped in that type of environment for a long time, and there hasn't been a lot of innovation going on with it. And so if we have this data now open to the public, there is so much more that can be done with it outside of that bureaucracy that hasn't had the opportunity yet. They've been held back for that. And also, of course, fame and glory. Who doesn't love that? Honestly, with the Adopt a Hydrant app, I didn't even realize this side effect, but I know after we got the press coverage in the ADN, and then we were one of the grand prize winners, that I had all kinds of people where I work. Resource Data is not large, but they're not small company either. And there's people that I'd never talked to, and it gave them an excuse to come up to me and start a conversation. And all of a sudden, my network at work has grown. And so if I ever have a problem, I have that many more people to go and talk to. And I think especially in a local market, because there is nobody doing this, you can get known a little bit easier and put yourself out there. So probably a lot of this you guys are already familiar with, but I just want to talk about maybe some of the pros and cons for some of the data in these sites. So data.gov, really usable. Most of you have probably gone. If you like data, you may have gone to this site. Very usable, easy to navigate. You'll get data in all kinds of different formats. That's still an issue, but Alaska.gov. This site has some good data too. What's that?
They got them online.
Yeah, I saw you connect earlier. Except when I drag my fingers, it's not scrolling.
You gotta use 2 fingers.
This is hard. Okay. So, one of my favorite, look, obviously yours too, because it has been clicked before, is the Alaska wage data. And all these things at the top, there's a lot of good data here. And for example, it's available in a CSV file, which is perfect for if you're using a tool like R, which I won't be tonight, but hopefully in the future. It's very easy to manipulate, read it in, and do some things, just look at the data and come up with some interesting results. So I really like the state site. And like I said, the Department of Labor and Workforce Development has a lot of good data here. Here we go. The Muni site, okay, that's a little more hit or miss, and this is why I need you guys to get interested and start, agitating a little bit, and maybe we can do something better. Right now, I think for me, and if you guys know a better one, but I had the wrong link, but this site is like the easiest for data. There's a lot of GIS information here. Probably a lot of people have played around with the trails data and some of this. What's that? There we go. Exactly. I think this is a well-trafficked page. But a lot of the other information on this site is not as easy to do anything with. So, for example, if you wanted to do something with Restaurant ratings. Let's see. Right now, there's no data for you to download. You go to this page, and you'd have to do some kind of screen scraping, or reverse engineering to get information. And let me just say, it's hit or miss with them. If you try to contact them at the bottom of this page, you're likely to get nothing. Crickets.
No.
Yes.
Which one, the bar or the restaurant?
Yeah.
No rats.
No action. Description, regular. 2005 is a long time ago, so we won't worry about it. Yep. Everybody feel happy.
Transparency.
So, wouldn't it be great if we could actually have some kind of a map, and if you were near a restaurant, you could pull it up, click on it, and it would give you the ratings for that restaurant. There's a lot we could do and try to encourage the Muni to make data more accessible. And the good thing about it is even though you might find some of these departments less responsive, there are people in the Muni that are very, very interested in getting data to you and helping you use it because they know that ultimately it benefits them as well. So just like with the City of Portland TriMet, they didn't have to do any development on their mobile application. They just had to put the data out there, and they have 24 applications for people to use. And so there are people that would be interested in trying to get you the data that you need. So it's not like a complete waste of time. So if you are interested in civic data, I would hope that you would contact me because I'm looking to try and start a little more organization to that end. And so next time I get up in front of you guys, and luckily I had a quarter of a beer and time to decompress, and you guys are a friendly crowd, and I appreciate it. But next time I'm going to try something a little harder and actually play around with programming in front of you and see how it goes. So thank you.
Liquid courage.
Liquid, I know. It's the only kind I have.